this is my review of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Okay, so it's season 2 time. Season 2 came out a couple of days ago. It started airing a couple of days ago, and the first episode only has like one thing of note that I'm going to get to closer to the end. But the thing about this episode is that it's mainly meant to be a clip show, to show all the highlights from the previous season, to fill us in on basically give us a plot synopsis so that we know what's going on going into the second season, and that's what its primary focus is. But it does have a major plot development that I will be addressing at the end of this review. So this episode actually starts off by introducing us to a new character named Hinata Sakaguchi, who is established at the start of the episode to have a working relationship with Shizu. It's unknown what the extent of the relationship actually was. But she remembers but at the start of the episode, she recalls a promise that she made to Shizu a while back about how when Shizu is gone, she will do her best to carry herself forward, as it were. At which point she gets a knock on the door. It's revealed that she's a high-ranking official in some organization. I forget specifically which. Somebody in the comments is probably going to help fill in the details with that. But basically, one of her subordinates gives her a pamphlet on the Rimuru Tempest Foundation, which, if you guys don't remember, is the nation that Rimuru founded. Back in season 1, he founded it and has been growing it steadily throughout the course of the first season and well into the second, as it turns out. But she flips through the pamphlet. She learns more about the Rimuru Tempest Foundation, and then she stops on a picture of Rimuru, since she recognizes Rimuru's human form as Shizu, and then it gets into the clips show stuff. And at which point Rimuru takes over as narrator for most of the episode, except for the brief instance where Clayman takes over as the narrator and describes his evil plans. But basically the episode just goes through Rimuru's entire life up to this point, and all the different threats he's faced up to that point. So yeah, basically, if you didn't watch the first season, that's what this episode is meant to establish. It goes through all of Rimuru's past accomplishments since he became after getting murdered as a human and reincarnating as a slime in this other world. So it starts off with exactly where that story starts, about how Rimuru was once an ordinary man named Satoru Mikami. Due to a freak accident involving some random stabber, he dies and is reincarnated as a slime, where he meets Reincarnated Tempest and in his stead becomes the guardian of a nation of goblins, who we've all met up to this point. And at which point he begins recruiting more and more monsters to his cause. He begins building up his nation and eventually becomes the leader. And then he switches gears for a moment and talks about Shizu's accomplishments and what she's done, and talks about her life, about how she was a summon similar to how he was reincarnated, and recalls how someone's work when talking to Veldora. He recalls her life, about how she grew up, was taken in by the hero, who we haven't met up to this point yet, and I'm not entirely sure when we're going to meet her. But I don't know when we're going to meet her properly, at least. We've met her, but she's always had her mask on, and we've only ever seen her from behind when she has it off. So we've never actually seen her up to this point. That's the point I'm making. It recalls how she started taking on. She just tried to meet with the Demon Lord Leon Cromwell again after he abandoned his castle. And eventually she realized that she didn't have much longer to live, and was taken on, and was starting to be consumed by the Ifrit that was inside her body. So what happened was she decided to settle down and become a school teacher, where she started teaching Class S at the Freedom Academy, which Rimuru finds out after he becomes becomes a teacher in her stead. But eventually realizes she can't stay and goes off on her final journey to find Leon Cromwell, but is consumed by the Ifrit before she can, which is how she meets Rimuru, and then Rimuru lays her to rest inside of himself after defeating Ifrit, and then decides to honor her last wishes, mainly to help the kids because whom he later finds out are on a expiration date, and that they will die unless he finds some way to save them and stop them from consuming all of their energy and dying that way. Because they're all summons from another world, and he wants to protect them like he tried to protect Shizu. So he has to honor Shizu's wish and do that. And also during the battle of this, he talks. Leon takes over. Clayman takes over, not Leon, but Clayman takes over. He explains his evil plans, and also explains how he created the demon orc lord, which we saw Rimuru fight, and how he resurrected Charbis, who we saw Milim fight, and also to a lesser extent Rimuru, but Rimuru wasn't really the target of that fight, so he's not really important to that one. But then it describes his quest to bind everybody to a spirit, and he succeeds in that, except for the weird instance with Chloe, which he remarks is weird, but he decides to just brush it off and realize that all was well and ends well. And he's all but honored Shizu's last wishes. He still needs to find Leon Cromwell and asks him about some stuff, but other than that, he's buttoned up every single loose end that Shizu had dangling. Or so he thought, because that's where the plot development comes in, as I stated. So it turns out Hinata... No, so we've already established that Hinata knew Shizu, and it's unknown what their relationship is at this time, but what you do need to know is that Hinata, understandably, but she does make the mistake of seeing Rimuru's human form, and assumes that Rimuru killed Shizu, and decides to take her revenge out on him. So, yeah. This episode is mainly a clip show, except for that one plot development, where Hinata Sakaguchi, she's going to be our bad guy next. She's going to try and destroy the Rimuru Tempest Foundation and level it to the ground, because she assumes that Rimuru killed Shizu, which isn't true. We know this. That's not true at all. But she assumes that that's what happened, and she's going to try and avenge Shizu, as it were. So that's something we're going to have to look into for the coming episodes in the second season. But for the most part, this episode was just a clip show to show all the different things that have been accomplished over the course of the first season. It was a slimmed down highlight reel of all the things that he's done up to this point, and what you need, and all the major things you need to know going into the second season. So that's primarily it, plus a new plot development involving Hinata Sakaguchi. So yeah, hopefully you guys are looking forward to this, because this is going to be interesting. It's going to build off of what happened with the first season, and I'm looking forward to dissecting its world again. So hopefully you guys will stick with me for that, and also hopefully you guys will bear with me as I go through all this, because this is going to be a long endeavor going forward. And this is going to be just interesting to review again, because I like this anime, and a lot of you guys like me reviewing this anime. So hopefully this review series is just as popular as it was, because it has picked up a lot of traction in the past over the course of the episodes. So it has picked up a lot of traction since those last batch of reviews came out. So hopefully you guys will enjoy me reviewing it. I hope you guys will enjoy me reviewing it, because I just kind of like talking about the series, and I'm looking forward to talking about it again. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. And also next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!